that we now live in the strangest of times, where nothing but uncertainty is guaranteed. We have become so busy, but yet much more remains unaccomplished. Inflation has become we now live in the strangest of times, where nothing but uncertainty. Can you hear me? Look, okay. I'll just repeat. Start off again. We've become so busy, but yet much more remains unaccomplished. Inflation has become everyday's topic. Technology continues to disrupt the way we plan, we implement, and we manage our projects. One may ask, many efforts have been done to study and see how we can improve the way projects can be managed. But yet so much more projects continue failing on cost, on time, on scope, and definitely quality remains compromised. The world has changed and the world continues to change. It's a fact. However, we cannot continue solving today's problems with yesterday's solutions. They say that a lazy man always blames his tools. But today I want to say, also a wiser man chooses the right tools. That's why today we have decided in partnering with Lincoln University of Business and Management, as well as LSM, we've decided to take a step forward and say, what are the things that can be done? What are the tools and techniques that will be relevant in managing projects as we look into the future, right? So basically, today we have decided that we come to find solutions. We now live in a VUCA world, and in partnership with in collaboration with the speakers that are here today, we are going to find ways where we can replace volatility with vision, uncertainty with understanding, and complexity with clarity. Where there is ambiguity, definitely we will look for agility. Allow me to welcome our speakers. We are going to have two speakers. The first speaker, Mr. Abdul, is going to start. He has more than 20 years of working experience. He has managed more than 100 projects as far as I know. And he is a member of the PMI. He is also a master in terms of Scrum, as well as Scrum methodologies. Mr. Abdul, please, sir.
Thank you, Tanaga. Is it audible and visible? Tanaga, is it audible? Well,
yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, thanks for the wonderful introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, based on the location, the people you are joined. I know that the people joined at different parts of the world. And before getting into the topic of today, just to a piece of small information, myself and Aida, we both are belong to PMI UAE chapter, and we both are the chapter volunteers of the outreach team. So what we do is we reach out to the companies and academies and spread out this information about project management. The collaboration of academies and the industry will give better insights of project management. And we have team of different sectors. I'm coming from a IT sector. Aida is coming from a healthcare sector. how to join and how to collaborate. Those things we can discuss in towards the Q&A session if anyone interested about that. Coming back to the topic of the day, project management, future tools and technique, which Thanaga started putting across that the importance of it or where the projects are coming in currently. It's all good to know about from the people who are coming from the industry. But to start with the area coming into the projects, the technologies or the challenges or the tools, just give a brief of about what is that a project, talk about it. Consider it the industry is building a autonomous or self-driving car. So initially it has to develop and pilot it, then it will go for a full-fledged production. So when we take it that the first project, first pilot one, building it that, then the rollout of the complete manufacturing process will go on. The first portion of piloting it, it has a definite scope of it. It has a definite budget and timeline of it. That particular one, call it as a project. Then it will go out for the operation part of it. So let's see where these projects are coming in a IT point of view. Because I'm coming in an IT industry side, where these projects and what is in it for us. Do we need to look into the project? Is there anything coming up into that? Let's see some of the technologies which projects are coming in and what is that in the future of it. One is, I need to touch base it, artificial intelligence. If you look at it, there are many areas nowadays it's using artificial intelligence. It's like the human intelligence is getting work through machines. The machines act on behalf of you. What is that the prospect or the future which see in here? As per the World Economic Forum, it's estimated 85 million jobs will be replaced by machines with AI by 2025. At the same time, there is another outlook. Economic Forum estimate that a 97 million new jobs arise by 2025. So there are a set of jobs going away, but similarly, there is a set of jobs arising through AI. Some of the scenarios like the self-driving cars, which I mentioned, the autonomous cars, it uses AI. The decisions over a period, the devices will learn it and it's capable enough to decide and act on it. This is what going to happen in the future. Let's take another new technology, which is coming up with RPA, robotic process automation. There are two main areas which work on it. One is the soft robot. The other one is the hard robot. Let's see the example, Howard. There are jobs which is very monotonous jobs like copying an information, pasting it somewhere, or consider it, you need to send a periodic notification to the people. When you take it in an academic side, for the student, you need to send out your assignment timeline. So this type of monotonous jobs, the robots will do it. No need of a human intervention there. The robots will handle it those and this will get replaced with, and it's already using it, many industries well versed. And if you take it in USA, you already seen that the robots are addressing it, the hard robots in the police stations, in the banks, in the restaurants, all these areas, the robots use in different services like information providing it, or the rig areas, or the jobs which need a risky job. We use the robot to work on it. So what is that outlook, or what is the prospect is coming in the RPS side? The global robotic process automation market expected to surge 2078 million to 45,000 million by 2030. So it's a huge market coming in these areas. The third one, the Internet of Things, IoT. So what it'll do it, let's take it one or two examples of it. Nowadays, every single piece of devices are connected. It's connected each other. One of the example, for example, your refrigerator. The groceries which monitor it, and it'll say that if it's get finished, the notification will go to the grocery for the refilling purpose. That's or you take it in the parking in a shopping mall. If you visit it, you see that the parking availability details, it sends it and pass it on. So this or in the logistics segment, the fleet management, the trucks location or where the location currently placed. So the current location with the GPS positioning, exact information passed on. So the devices capture the information from and the device where it is connected it and send back to the central systems and validate and give the actions based on what we set across. So this is one of the technology which is emerging it, and there is a big potential in this IoT. So as per the research, what it says that it go 70.6 billion 2019. This will go to 24.1 billion in 2030. There is a huge market, big potential coming into it. Going forward, every device will be connected and exchanging informations each other and taking actions based on the information exchanged the devices. Let's take cloud. When in the beginning, people started listening about the cloud, nobody thought that it will emerge it or people will use it much. If you are using social media, that means you are using cloud. All your information sitting in a computer which is sitting outside in your premises, somebody else managing that systems. Your information is sitting there, storing there. Your information is accessing from there. Your information is getting processed from there. Instead of keeping the information in your own premise or your local systems, it is keeping in someone else's computer and accessed from outside, processed from outside. And all this is happening from this is what the cloud. So what is the potential coming into this? By 2030, there is a growth potential of 398%. This is what happening in cloud segment. The next one, the technology which is coming in, the augmented reality and the virtual realities. The areas which uses, one of the example, if you say that academic side or medical side and the side retail side. So where it is uses it, some of the example, if you see it, for example, a surgeon wanted to do a critical surgery. He sits in even any part of the world. He can, through the augmented realities, he can handle it in a remote location. Another one, in the retail segment, if you want to buy one car, sitting in your home by using the device, the mobile or your laptop, you can visualize literally like a physical, you're seeing it, how the car will be, what all the features, everything, and you can buy that. Education sector or the training, like medical training or any type of sort of training, you can do through the augmented reality. What is the growth or the outlook which is coming in this is 23 million jobs by 2030. It is coming in through the augmented and virtual reality side. Blockchain, another big time discussions. People, I believe a couple of them who join will be deal with it, the cryptos, right? So the underlying technology which is for the cryptos are blockchains. It's a distributed ledger system built. That's what the blockchain doing it. So all the cryptos are using the technology of blockchain. Going forward, blockchain will be using in many industries. There is an expected 40 million jobs worldwide by 2030 in blockchain related. Some of them, if you look at the contract, your contract, real estate contract, it will be in the future, it will be only electronically stored information. It will be a smart contract. Your medical information, it's purely electronically recorded it and nobody can change that information. Your educational information, your certificate, this will be electronically stored and nobody can change it. So these are some of the examples which uses the blockchain technology. There are use cases even in UAE as well, like the land department uses for the contract, the RTA uses for the rent-a-car services. So many areas, it's already started using it. Universities are using it for their certificate issuing. So there is huge potential which is coming up in the blockchain segment. Distribute decentralized financials. What is coming? Core financing will going to happen through DeFi in the future. Currently, when we want to transfer money to a different part of the world, the exchanges, banks dependent on it. You can do the direct transfer going forward by using through the DeFi systems. The market is giving good outlook for the DeFi. There are many startups and new innovations coming in all the side of DeFi. A huge potential area which project managers can look into that, the DeFi side. The other one is NFT, non-fungible token. The global market growth forecast is $1 211 billion market by 2030 in NFT. It's coming up. The future is coming it. It's again coming in a relationship. What is that? It's the NFT run on top of a blockchain system. Your medical records or your currencies will be using it that in the NFT side. And a couple of other example, not the one which I mentioned in the blockchain, a different one. For example, your art pieces. You have prepared a drawing, so you'll be preparing it in the NFT and circulating it, or your music which you create, or your creative items, audios, videos, or your artwork, all of this coming out in the NFTs. Your the art is recorded in digitally through NFT. The transfer happened through that. Let's move on to the next one, the NLP, the natural language processing. What will happen is you communicate with the people a certain language. The other person, the system can understand that and provide the responses. Do we have any use cases for that? Yes, definitely we have that. You can see that. Where do you see that? Currently in UAE, you already, or other part of the world, you already seen that when you contact for the banks, it can listen in your language which you are talking about and provide the response. Currently, it's in the English language. It's using it. Definitely going forward, other areas or other countries, well, there are use cases with the different languages using it and providing the response. So this is also giving a good outlook. NLP market, it's expected to grow 35.1 billion by 2026. One of the very good segment which can look into that and growing potential is them. So these are the technology areas. One of some of the technology areas which, based on my experience, I suggested the PM can look into that. All of this has good amount of potential and growth it's offering it. Let's talk about what all some of the challenges when you address this type of new technologies, or similarly the conventional technologies as well, the challenges which project managers face in their day-to-day life. One is the remote workforce. What happened is after the pandemic, when the pandemic started, the remote workforce level has increased it. Of course, it was there, but it's accelerated the way people work. Let's take it the example, the session which is happening now. It's remotely connected and we are doing it. Similarly, for the project, the workforce is sitting different part of the world, different time zone, different situations. So this is one of the challenge project managers need to address going forward, how you handle it, this remote workforce, which is connected across different parts of the world. The other one is talk about the new technologies. The technologies, the projects which is coming in, as well as the technologies which user for the management as well. Nowadays, blockchain used for the project management as well. The records are electronically stored. The contracts are electronically stored. And how you address it in the new technologies. So this is another challenge which PMs are facing it currently. The other one is the agility. The changes, the dynamism across the projects or the requirements, it's very drastic. So there are many reasons. One is the new technologies, or the pandemic, or the situations, or the requirements changes, or we wanted to have much faster the things to be addressed it. So that's the agility is another challenge which project managers face. The new generation, the workforce, it's coming at, they are in the workforce. So how you handle with them, how you address them. So the handling the new generation, the workforce, is another challenge of the project managers. Their interest, the style of work, or what motivates them, or how you motivate them to get the work done, or how you want to treat them, what culture you to facilitate them. All of this important, and as well as it's a challenge for the project managers. And now the things are more focused on the value delivery than a product and an item delivery. So more focus is coming in how much value you deliver, the than just a material delivery or just a service delivery. Things are getting changed more into the value delivery. The systems are getting more changed. How much value through that, how sustainable it is. All of this is coming an important factor when you are delivering anything through the project which you handle it. The other one is the challenge which project manager faces, the organizational culture. As mentioned that earlier, we handle with a remote workforce. You handle it a different generational workforce which is there, and you focus on the value delivery. So it is very important, the organizational culture, and the culture is another challenge which organization, the project managers face it. What culture you build it there in this organization, which you handle it, which you are going to deliver the project. So that is another important, and at the same time, it's a challenging for a project manager. So how you address it? What all the traits which you need to focus it and address it, and in a way in the future it help to handle the project in a value delivery mode. One is you have to be very empathetic. It is one of the very important factor. Much more to say that, for example, if you take it the current scenario, the pandemic scenario, there are situations you come across it that you have to be very much empathetic, the environment which you handle, the people. One of the example which I would say that when we had one schedule, one of the project, we took all the approvals and made it arrangement, and the day just before the schedule, the resource got COVID, so he couldn't be able to go the site. So how we address it to the client, and there are multiple parties involved. The teams are coming in from different other sites, other countries as well for this to execute it. So you have to be very cautious, empathetic to the team, to the situation, then only you can address a project. So this is one of the trait which you need to look into that. The other one, the listening. You have to be listening very carefully the information which is coming to you. One of the case which I would say that when you are trying to find out a solution for any issues, or you are trying to solve an issue, you have to be sit with the team, listen properly, then build out a solution. Then you go back and assuming and building an or giving an answer or providing a solution, that doesn't work. Than that, you need to sit with the team, have a proper understanding, properly listen, and build the answer for it or build a solution for it. Because the answer, the better answer come from the team itself. The person who going through that particular issue or who faced the issue, when he explain it and give it that, he can give a better solution than you are assuming or predicting it. This will be like this. Okay, so you have to be very much listening for the from the team. The other one is communicate. You should give it a proper communication, clear communication, than hiding the info. Unless it's confidential, you cannot provide that. But other information, very clear and concise, you need to provide it. That. So communication is one of the very key. And especially you have people from workforce sitting in remotely. Maybe he'll not be seeing the physical interaction is not happening. So you don't know what is the answer he's giving it and what is that the expressions is giving it. So you have to be very clear in your communication while you're handling with the remote workforce or the new generation in the workforce. And in the culture, you're dealing with a different culture. So the communication has to be very clear, and it is very key for you to address it. The transparency part, which I talked in the communication. So you have to be very transparent, open to the team, the workforce which is there, and make it very clear that while you are communicating it. So transparent to the timelines and transparent to the objectives, transparent to the final outcome which you are looking into. So it has to be very transparent when you are addressing it. And you have to value the opinions. Whoever gave it, whatever it would be, you have to value that. You don't try to put it or deny that or neglect that the information. So you need to value the opinions over share it. So very important for a project manager, you need to make it successful. So let's just see what is the top 10 skills of 2025 which World Economic Forum talked about. So what the Economic Forum says, estimated that 2025, 85 million jobs may be displaced by a shift in the division of labor between humans and machines. So I talked about earlier a couple of the new jobs, okay, new technologies. So by 2025, there is a huge shift is going to happen between the humans and machines. Machines is going to do a job, a different set of jobs which was handled by human some point in time. But even more, there are jobs which is getting introduced or added to this. So different type of jobs is coming into market, but the jobs which you currently handle it's going away from us. So what we need to do it for that, how to address it, that 50% of all employees will need reskilling by 2025. As adoption of technology increase, according to the World Economic Forum Future Jobs Report, it is a reality. So we learned that, seen that disruption happened for the companies, right? Many example, many session, you could have been listened that the cases of Kodak or Nokia, what all happened in reception happened in. So this is going to happen at professionals as well. It's not only for countries or companies. This is going to happen for professionals as a disruption. So you need to reskill it. Then only you can sustain it. It is very important factor. Learning, unlearning, and relearning. This is what the world is moving on. So if you stand out, if you want to stand out, then you need to reskill it. And the space of change is very drastic. It's improving like, or the the requirement is changing like anything. The pace was earlier slower, but now it's extremely faster. So your reskilling level, you need to improvise it, increase it. Then only you can stand out. Otherwise, you will be out from that market. So which is the top 10 skill which World Economic Forum says you need to look into that for the future? The analytical thinking and innovation. This is one of the skill you need to very much look into that, and very important for the future. Active learning and learning strategies. And the important factor, you need to learn. You have to be throughout a learner to take your level further. And complex problem solving. And another important area which you need to look into that. The critical thinking and analysis. And the creativity, originality, and initiatives. The leadership and the social influence. The technology use, monitoring and controls. The technology design and the programming. The resilience, stress tolerance, and flexibility. Reasoning, problem solving, and ideation. These are the 10 top areas which we need to look into that very much. So some of the areas which I mentioned it earlier, the system is going to handle it, couple of the monotonous things, and that will not be there in the future. So this is something very crucial. You need to look into that and develop yourself. And still this human intelligence required all this. So very crucial 10 areas which we need to take it in the next level. So just to sum up that, what we see in it is, for a project manager, areas of the technology area or the requirements are very much there in the industry. But at the same time, we need to shift the focus in terms of the new technologies and the way which we address than the earlier. It's differently changed, literally changed in a different dimensions. So we need to be focus on those new technologies, the challenges, and similarly how to address it. We need to brush up ourselves, improvise it to address it that. So with this, I conclude my session. Then we'll have the Q&A session towards after the second speaker session is completed. Over to Tanaka.
Thank you so much, Mr. Salim. I think there's so much to brainstorm on. We have learned a lot, but one thing for certain is that things are changing, and be it for good or for bad, is for us to be prepared. And I think it starts with the mindset to say, are we ready to change the mindset for us to be ready for those soft skills that you have mentioned in your last slide. So I don't want to waste much time. I'm going to welcome Miss Ida. She's one expert also in the medical field, one of the most interesting field that has that is gained too many attention as much as 2020, 2021 is concerned. And I'm sure she's one technocrat who's going to take us and give us insights on the changes that are happening within that field. Miss Ida, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I hope you are all still awake. Thank you so much, Salim, for an insightful session. So this will open up your brain even further. So I'll be, as it was mentioned earlier, I come from, I'm a biomedical scientist and also a PMI UAE chapter member. Biomedical scientist also can be referred to as a healthcare scientist. So today we are going to cover the project management from my side more in the laboratory medicine or diagnostic laboratory. They're both similar. So you will be hearing these two terms and what are the advances in project management in that particular field, how the technology has changed project management, what's the future tools, software, can technology replace project managers? Because we are, as my colleague earlier said, jobs can be replaced or will be replaced. What's expected of the project manager in the future? Where do we go from here? Can technology improve the whole project management process? And what are the limitations in project management in the diagnostic laboratory? And what's the future of project management in the laboratory or healthcare in general? So I like basics of everything. I know you're all aware of project management, but I also, I'm a very big supporter of going back to basics in order, because we are advancing at such a, unprecedented pace that we tend to forget the basics. So as we know, project management involves initiation, planning, executing, monitoring, and closing the specific project. And in the laboratory is the similar setting. Again, initiation, conception, implementation, deployment, and there's our milestones that are that will help you transit from one task or one phase to another, such as the quality, feasibility, execution, etc. So just to remind us what project management means. In microbiology, let me just give you a brief overview. You go to the doctors complaining of some symptoms, you're not feeling well or some sort of infection, whether viral or bacterial, and then the doctor listens to your symptoms, notes them down, takes your details, demographic details, your name, your age, etc., your gender, and then creates a report and asks you for a sample, whether blood sample or urine sample or a swab from a particular site of your body to send it to the laboratory. So us in the laboratory, we receive your samples after the booking and your data is entered into the system. And from our end in the laboratory, we receive your samples. In microbiology, mainly we look for sites of infection or what causes the infection. We do the tests. And then based on that, we send the report back to the doctor, and then the doctor will give the full diagnosis. So our role is involved in disease diagnosis. So that's what it is. The reason I want to simplify it, because I believe project management involves every sector, and the healthcare sector is not as complicated, or the laboratory is not as complicated as people think. No, it's like any industry, and if you're a person who looks for a challenge, you're more than welcome to get involved in that. So automation or machines are involved in microbiology, particularly because we are under pressure to increase, productivity. We're living longer, we're sicker more often. So we are under pressure that we need to involve machines. And also there's limited budgets, less staff are involved for one reason or another. That's another story. So in microbiology, we need automation, we need machines. And the reason for that is delayed. You've got hematology, blood sciences, microbiology, etc., many disciplines in the laboratory who are involved in disease diagnosis. And microbiology is the last discipline that has been, automation was introduced or technology was introduced as late as 2006. And the reasons being, as I'm mentioning here, because it's very complex. There's many types of sample. Any site of your body that infection can happen, it can be investigated. So it's not straightforward. And there's many analytical processes involved. So there's so many tests. They're all looking for one thing. What causes this infection? You identify it and send a report to the doctor. And also, you don't need massive volumes like tubes of blood. One tiny small sample can be enough for the test to be done. So therefore, automating the whole process is very expensive. So it's very difficult to implement. As I mentioned earlier, there's a limited budget for every trust or hospital. So this slide I love pictures. I just think pictures really help us to visualize what I'm talking about. This is how I learn, and this is you as a student. It will make it easier for you. So this diagram or picture shows you the levels of automation. So these are the manufacturers, and this is the levels of automation, the processing of the sample from the time the specimen is processed or put in a machine. The work is done, incubation, and then at the end, the reporting or the imaging. So I have worked mainly with BD. So this is, and mainly is this area to the total laboratory automation. So from the time the sample is booked, arrives, it's processed, incubated, imaged, look at the images, which I do, send the report to the doctor, and the doctor is happy with whatever results are processed, so that the whole diagnosis process is complete, and then you get your medication and hopefully you recover. This is another diagram showing you how the project management in a healthcare sector or in a laboratory looks like. As you can see, the project manager is at the top of this chart. Myself and my colleague, biomedical scientists, tech training officers, the trust maintenance are part of the project management. And then you've got sub-projects involving IT, service users, including the ethics department, design of the laboratory, the automation. So it's not straightforward, but we are part of the project management in order for it to succeed. So this is a diagram, a simplified diagram on how they do it in the UK. This is another work breakdown structure on how projects looks like. Like earlier on, I've explained, you've got initiation, the planning. This is the most crucial step, is the execution, which also subdivided to implementing and deployment and the closure. So again, emphasizing why is it so important? Again, the project management, efficiency, efficacy, these are 6 main paradigms that really confer, it's very important to appreciate them in order each phase of this project management succeeds in the laboratory. Again, this is another demonstration for your own reading, just to have an idea. Because you work in a laboratory, it's very, very important to bear in mind that you can't shut down the hospital or the laboratory. You will have a project running, but at the same time, the service needs to continue because you still have patients coming to the trust. So I wouldn't say it's very complicated, but the quality of the work needs to remain. And the safety is very important, as sustainability and the satisfaction of the service. You can't turn to the patient and say, oh, we are installing a new analyzer and the work will not continue. So as a project manager, don't feel that is challenging, because later on in the presentation, you will see it's not as bad. Again, this is another slide from a research paper that I have that I refer to in my studies. just for your own reference. Again, it's just emphasizing on what are the drivers that you need to bear in mind when you are undergoing a project management process in the healthcare sector or in the laboratory. The healthcare involves admin work as well. So this is another, because you don't just send samples randomly, there's an administration team. So that's another side, to this. You've got the electronic healthcare records. That's another story by itself, where a project is managed. So you've got these two working alongside each other for an analysis, because when you receive samples, they need to be booked correctly, data collected, and so on. So we do work together, not just separately on our own, because it's very important everything is documented and archived, accordingly. In terms of tools, these are the two main tools that I have come across. I don't like them. I don't think I've got a chart for that. It's not my favorite. I never like using it. I'm very honest about this. I had to use it, but I really don't like them, the Gantt and the PERT diagram, even though it just visually shows you the beginning and end of every phase, but they are not my favorite. But that's what we've been using in the UK, particularly in the healthcare. So now we're moving into the future. I gave you an overview on how it was or how it is currently. But in the last few years, particularly, we have been using the advances or the softwares to help us, plan a project, track it, collaborate, communicate, and so on. So there has been advances, but very slow, in my opinion. So my slides from now on are going to focus on technology. My colleague Celine has given a very nice overview. So there will be overlapping. I might be repeating a few things, but again, I'm sharing from my perspective as a healthcare scientist and how I see how things will go from here. So in my research of what I've come across, and I'm very excited about how technology is going to improve our work because we really need it. So this slide, again, as you know, I like pictures. I just think it just tells loads of stories. Data backup. So this is showing you 6 technology that's that can change project management, or already changing anyway. They have been implemented. So you've got data backup, communication, being able to keep with the deadlines, budget, which is the big word, time tracking, and social media. So initially, data management was mainly filing cabinets and, very volumatic. But now it's very easy to manage data. You can store it, you can have the backup, you can collect it, analyze it on an ongoing basis, and you don't have to have a physical storage. You can store it up in the cloud. So if your hard drive burns or something happens, at least it's saved up there. So data management is feasible now, is very straightforward. Communication. This is very, very important. I think is crucial, but now it became easier because it became instant now. It's very easy to keep up with the deadlines, and you don't have to be physically in the same country. You can communicate. There's softwares that you can use. So communication is very important, but in my opinion, it became very easier than ever before. So telecommunication, as I said, can be achieved regardless to where you are. Like I'm speaking to you now from London, I'm not in Dubai. So that makes it easier. So communication at every level is achievable. And you've got different modes of communication. You've got messages, email, even telephones, which we tend to forget about, video calling. So all of these has made communication easy and more interactive. And collaboration is achieved. So you can schedule your task, you can complete them in a comfortable manner that everybody can, are happy with. The next one is the budget tracking. Again, Excel spreadsheets was revolutionary. I do not like Excel. I'm going to be very honest. I never liked it, even when I was studying at university, even up to this day. It's not my favorite. But fortunately now, modern project management involves using software and, you know, and different business programs that basically does the maths for you. So there's no excuse now. You can't say, you know, you can't feel like you're limited in that way, so anybody can understand it. Time tracking. I also think that's another big problem. It wasn't easy to manage. Up to this day, I'm seeing, you know, struggles with that. But again, we have new project management softwares that will make life easier. So this is, I think, technology made life easier for us in terms of tracking time. Social media. This is something I always say. Not all social media is bad. So you've got websites that can host, you've got any social interaction, communication, whether with your customers or clients or amongst yourselves. So if somebody's hiding, you can find them. Also, you can use Twitter and, you know, Facebook. I don't use Facebook much, but again, it's very good in terms of communication. And LinkedIn as well is fantastic for communication or professional communication. So social media can be a technology tool that you can use for project management. Project management softwares. I'm in favor of that as well. Recently, I've been introduced to Trello. So there's many, up to 30, I think, if not more. But there's so many out there that you can use for your project management process. However, you need to consider many things. You need to know the size of your company, your project, what features you need, and also you need to appreciate what support that is available for you out there. So you're not just going to buy any fancy software without knowing, do you really need it? And if you are using it, what support you need if things can go wrong. Now, some of the terminologies you might have heard from my previous from my fellow speaker. I'm in favor of them and I'm learning about them myself. So there will be overlapping here. You've got artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things. I've recently come across a reading about medicine of things, human-machine collaboration, the metaverse involving, you know, including virtual reality, augmented reality. I've got a question mark next to it there, which I will explain later on why I've included that. And the blockchain, which is the big word. I don't think this list is inclusive, but you will hear these a lot. These are the most common ones. There might be more out there. I will leave you to research about them, but my personal advice or even advice for myself is to be aware of these terms and be familiar with them because they are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. And I truly believe it's going to be part of almost every sector. So whether you're at a C level or a junior level, this is going to be part of your work. So I'm just going to, this is what I have come across a few things. So I'm not going to overwhelm you because even for myself, I'm learning about them myself. So AI and machine learning have taken the private sector by storm. However, the ability of using the powers of machine to speed up decision making, you know, business strategies need to be more agile, more profitable. AI will help or does help already, which some examples you might have heard, regardless to the difficulty of the project or the process or the phase. So AI will help in terms of project management. It's also, it will eliminate any administrative activities. You know, there's some tasks that we can do without, you know, so you can focus on higher level strategies and, you know, stop wasting valuable times on, you know, these, and, you know, things that the machine can do it for you. And according to Deloitte, 70% of organizations are exploring or already using AI, so 70%. So imagine they are automating project PMO's tasks. So, you have to have that in mind, that is closer than, you don't have to wait until 2025 or 2030, it's already happening. Also, the Internet of Things. Again, I like to know the basics of everything. So it's a combination of physical devices on a shared wireless network that is playing or has played a significant role on ongoing, deployment of project management software to date. Also, the use of mobile has become more powerful. We use it abundantly all the time. And having the softwares available at your own, with your smartphone. You don't need to be physically in the premises. You can work remotely, so that really facilitates, project management process. This is I'm very excited about, and it's already been implemented anyway. Human-machine collaboration or working. So the machine will, I'm trying to understand it myself, but I can see it happening. It's already been happening in, I think it's in Amazon. I might, I've seen it randomly. So they will be helping PMOs to do their work. So the role of the project manager will change, and some tasks or jobs are going to disappear eventually. I personally think it's going to be sooner than, the anticipated date. So there is advantage to that. So for us, as a project manager, you will focus on more leadership roles, and you'll be, you will do your work better. That's what I think, in putting it a simple word. Blockchain. I'm fairly new to this, and I'm not going to, talk about something I don't know. So all I know that it's 80% of organizations, if not higher, they will be looking to hire someone who has blockchain skills, or maybe even to do in the next 12 months. So bear that in mind. Could that be you? So that's all I can talk about blockchain, because I don't have much knowledge about it myself. I know it's been around for a while. So I'll leave that to you, that knowing that it's something to, to look into, or gain skills in that area. Again, I like to have pictures. So these are the 5 themes of the future project management softwares. Blockchain is the first one. AI, human machine learning, collaboration, mobile, remote access. So this is another slide just for you to visualize what's going to, what tasks or how technology or the themes of the future project management will look like. The metaverse. So we tend to associate the metaverse with gaming, but it's actually beyond that now. So I like to know what things do mean from the beginning before I dive into deeper down in order to understand. So it's basically human beings are doing things that they do in real life, but is going to be done in the virtual world. I like this definition that I have found in Investopedia, that defines it as a shared virtual environment that people access via the internet. Technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality are combined in the metaverse to create a sense of virtual presence. So all that is good, but I like this definition by Deloitte, that they say we need to have a clear vision on what we want in the real world to look like, to make the most of the opportunities offered by the virtual world. And I really like this statement, because we are already struggling in the real life, but still, in order to make the most of, or to reach the full potential in the virtual world, we need to achieve that in the real world. So I really like this statement. So the next question, which a lot of us are always thinking, can technology replace project managers? I believe that would happen to a certain extent. Like by 2030, all of the work of today's project management discipline will be eliminated as AI takes on traditional project management functions, such as data collection that I have mentioned earlier in the data management section, the tracking and reporting. So have that in your mind, that this will happen sooner than late, sooner than you think. Don't think we're already in 2020, at the end of 2020. So 2025, my colleague earlier said about the World Economic Forum, that these are the skills that you need to invest in. So yes, technology will replace project managers. And that's what I think. So what's expected from you? I would say in one word, digital literacy is very important. That's where everything falls underneath, as simple as that. PMI's research, the project manager of the future, developing, this is a very good paper to look into, and summarizing it, the digital skills are the most important skill that any project manager needs to attain, such as data analysis, analytic management, security, protection, knowledge, data-driven. So all in all, digital literacy is very important. Again, this is another picture talking about what I've just mentioned earlier, just for you to take away and think, this is how it looks. So where do we go from here? Again, this is based on my personal opinion and from what I have observed, whether in healthcare, particularly in healthcare or in general. I truly believe that advanced technology will be an essential part of project management. As a project manager, as my colleague earlier said, you will need to upskill and to be digital literate and to be aware of the latest trends in technology. I personally won't be surprised if this is going to be an essential skill, not just by the project manager, but everybody involved in the project. So the use of technologies should not be restricted just to the project manager. It should involve the whole team. So I can't see the top of the slide. I'm actually relying on my, so excuse me, I cannot see, but I hope you can all see the slides very well. So I believe collaboration tools will make it easier for the whole team to be able to communicate. Time tracking will be easier, and budgeting will be much more traceable. And the software will help us to achieve all of these tasks that we hate, or delays the success of project management in general. I go back to the laboratory or healthcare. Unfortunately, the main challenge which I have observed, particularly in the laboratory setting, is the communication between the staff and the management. Unfortunately, this is the current situation, and from what I have observed, me being a scientist, as I showed you the chart at the beginning, I should be working closely with the project manager, but also it should also involve everybody in the laboratory, not just the scientists, everybody who comes in contact with analyzers or the project in general. Unfortunately, I've seen directors leave because and projects fail because of that link or that communication lost. So poor management can cause interruption or even the failure of the project. Unfortunately, I have seen that happen and money has gone to waste. So change management, including communication between both staff and the company, very important. As I showed you the chart at the beginning, it's very, very important. So there's risks that you have to bear in mind, identifying them, evaluating them, addressing them, very important to remember that. This table also illustrates what risks you have to be aware of or to appreciate. It doesn't just involve the staff, it involves the clients or the customers, the organization itself, the manufacturers. There's many technical problems that you have to be aware of. Then you've got the risks, the type of risks, who's involved, what's the mitigation plan, what's the contingency plan. These are all the things that you have to bear in mind. Also IT, because it's IT, you've got the information system, very important to bear that in mind, and the project as a whole. If the project management is poor, everything falls out, everything falls apart. So I truly believe technology will make life easier in terms of automating the work in the healthcare. It will increase the productivity, the quality, and it will reduce contamination, because if it's contaminated, if your sample or specimen contaminated, I cannot do the work on your specimen. So therefore the doctor will tell you, bring another sample. And that's not very good, particularly if it's a high pressure sample, such as, CSF or blood, even your own blood. So the turnaround time from the moment the sample has been taken from you or arrives at the hospital to the moment the final report sent to the doctors. So there's many things to consider in order for the whole project to succeed. So the main issue in the healthcare in general is installing a new system, a new machine or a new analyzer. I really don't want to, create a fear for you, but healthcare project management is not as complicated as people think. You can tap into that area. It's not exclusive for scientists. We need more project managers, but the most important thing is to keep that communication open between you and the staff and the management and the hospital and the trust. That's from my opinion, from my view, keep that communication going, keep learning from everybody, and then you will be a successful project manager. That will be my personal opinion. So these are my references. Feel free to ask as many questions. Thank you for listening. Final thoughts, take it away from me. I really think you need to have a growth mindset in order to be successful in that area. Not just a growth mindset, to have a futuristic mindset, to be an active learner, active listener, and also to keep your skills up to date. Upskilling, reskilling, that's going to be an ongoing. Never leave that. Keep that in mind in order to be successful, not just in healthcare, in general. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ida, for such an insightful presentation here. I want to believe our audience have got so many questions that they may want to relay to both of our panelists. So please feel free to type in your questions, send them through so that we can have this discussion on how we can move forward. Please feel free to type in your questions. Just from the top of my mind, I'm just wondering, somebody might be, there's a misconception that project management is for construction people. Many people, they relate project management to hard, those kind of physical projects, or rather creations. So what's your take on that? And coming from healthcare management, how would you try and explain this to people, that project management does exist in also different parts of industries?
I would say in a very simple way, it's like any normal project. The most important, you have to appreciate why is this project has been initiated. I think the most important is to have the background. Keep it very simple. People tend to think science or healthcare is complicated. I say this is very in a simple way. If a human created it, then a human should be able to understand it. This is how I see it, and this is how I understand it. From the ones that didn't work that I have seen, I think because of the communication, that was the main challenge. So be open-minded. So think why this hospital wanted this project to be initiated. I think starting with why, that will answer many questions following from that, rather than just diving into the project and just thinking, oh, I just need it to work. No, why do we need it? What's the background? Why do we need this analyzer to be installed? So once you know that, I think everything else falls into place. Keeping the communication going, working closely with the professionals, I think that's very important, and speaking to everybody involved, not just the management or the seniors, because unfortunately they might be looking for this to work, but then does it really work? Who's going to be involved in it? Who's going to be working on the installment that has been introduced? Because from what I have seen, they put a machine, but then the people who are working with the machine did not have the efficient training. So then you have to get an engineer, which obviously is costly. You might be working during the night and this analyzer goes not working. So you will have the work piling up, and certain specimens that arrive, they need to be processed as soon as possible. So I think that's where it starts, because if you don't know why, then your staff won't be able to carry out their work.
True. So there is Alicia in the chat box is asking, given that things are changing, how technical should a project manager be? Any Salim, or maybe you have been talking for quite a long time. Salim, I don't know if you have got any thoughts. You're on mute.
Sure, Tanaga. My opinion is about it's good to have the technical knowledge, because currently the things are getting changed like very drastic and fast paced, and new things are coming up. So it's always good, and the industry is looking into the project managers with a technical knowledge than just a management. Because if you just only in management, somebody, the scope, the time and budget, the managerial level, the integrity or more nitty-gritty part of it, limitations are there. You don't understand what is that little nitty-gritty of it. So you have a technical background that will help you to be much excel in it, and as well as you can drive that in much a value delivery model. That's what my comment on it.
Yes. So one of the things here that you have mentioned is upskilling, reskilling, and continuous learning, right? So there's also Megavi in the chat box. So she's saying that what are the relevant courses for upskilling in order to stay updated and relevant in such times? What would you recommend?
The upskilling side, you need to look at the area or the industry you work on it. For example, I'm coming from an IT industry, Aida is coming from healthcare. Similarly, there are many industries, construction industries, or infrastructure industries, or nuclear energy industries, many industries. So whichever industry you work on it, so learn in that area, the technology. At the same time, you need to upskill in project management skill as well. Because it's not only a technical side of it, or for example, the couple of new technology we talked about, blockchain or artificial intelligence. Not only learning that, at the same time, you need to upskill your project management knowledge as well. Because things are getting changed. The agile mode is coming up, and new tools are started using it for the project managing. So you need to learn it, the both aspect of it, and that's the way you upskill it based on the sector or the industry you work.
True. Do we have any more questions for our speakers? I'm sure they are ready to shed more light on how we can better prepare ourselves for the future. I see that there are things that you have mentioned in your slides that some of the jobs are not going to be relevant in the future. But also, I was excited when you mentioned that new jobs are going to be created. but definitely there are certain skills that are needed for us to occupy those sectors. So I just wanted to find out on the scale of balance, on the jobs that we are losing compared to what is being promised. Is there any balance, or we need to have to race through and get into those spaces, and maybe a few are going to be able to occupy and the rest to become jobless, or they have to change also the industries? What's your take?
Either you can start.
I would personally say you have to take responsibility for your own fate in this area. It might sound harsh, but this is what I'm telling myself as well. You have to be responsible by knowing what's going on a daily basis. What are the trends? As I mentioned in my slide, you have to be digital literate. That's going to be an essential skill at one way or another. So you need to know, there's many levels. You don't need to know coding, for example, but you need to know how to receive data, how to analyze the data, what type of data, is it authentic or legitimate, or and so on. That sort of digital literacy, and then you can see where you can go from there, because by 2025, which is only over 3 years, so this is your responsibility to know. Yes, you might be studying, yes, you might be working, but the time you scroll on social media, that time you can use, I do that as well, but I mean, dedicate a certain time that you train your mind to know what's the latest. For example, this year, the World Economic Forum, like Salim mentioned earlier, this year particularly, I'm still watching some of the talks. Find out what suits you, where you want to be, because every industry is different. For example, now I'm here in the UK. I'm going to go back to the UAE. They both have different challenges. For example, this is going to be a very honest experience. I come from I worked in most of my experience was in the private sector. And I also worked few years in the NHS, the National Health Service, which is the public service. Completely different mindsets. The NHS, because it's funded by the government, so the mindset's completely different. They're more reluctant to accept change. It's very, very difficult to bring a machine. The resources are much more limited. So hence the staff don't have that growth mindset, which is making it very difficult compared to the private. Machine is installed, the work is done, everybody has that mindset, okay, we need to make this work, and so on. So these are two different mindsets that I have come across. And that depends on you as a person. For me, I've had that, I enjoyed technology, so I didn't struggle and I progressed as I wanted to progress. In the UAE is completely different. The leadership is much more different. So you're much more supported. They have the futuristic mindset. So I truly believe it depends on the individual. You have to have that growth, futuristic mindset to, drive yourself forward and know on what's the latest, and have a positive change to, have a positive mindset towards change. Don't wait for change. Accept the change, enjoy the change, and, then you get excited. But if you fear change, you're really going to struggle. You're going to struggle from now on. I'm just going to say, straightforward. You have to know that this is the way forward. You have to have the agility, the flexibility, on your feet like that. But don't expect to be in one thing for 2-3 years forever. No, that's not going to happen. That's just going to be, you have to have that futuristic mindset.
True.
Just to add a touch base, which Aida explained it. She explained it very elaborate way. Just 2-3 points to add. The number of jobs going away comparing to the number of jobs generated, it's higher. The number of jobs that's getting generated is much higher in numbers. But we need to start looking from now onward. It's already late, actually, not now onwards, it's already late, I would say that. Because whatever we did it in the conventional way earlier, it's going out. For example, just to my experience, the banking industry literally adopting the robotic process automations, whichever the monotonous jobs, which doesn't need any decisions. It's literally getting converted by robots are doing it. So the people who are handling it, for example, a journaling job, or similar like, or filing a document just to, or content copy or paste it, similar like, something we thought it was a big job or a good one earlier, but now that is not there. The job is going away of it, or referring some documents, getting some content, or the industry of like media. You see in that preparing a write-up. This technology is there to write that for general information, to create a write-up. And for the legal side, referring the set of documents and coming up with some points, the systems are doing it. So you don't need those jobs are literally going out of from the market. So you need to futuristic, like I mentioned, that you need to keen into it, look into the area, your passion area, or the sector where do you work, and work towards. Or if you want to change it, of course you can change it, but look for which you wanted to move forward and gain that knowledge, prepare it yourself, then move on. Otherwise you will be out, no doubt about it, because the industry cannot just wait for you to be ready to work on it, because industry always look for that they wanted to things to happen it, right? So that's where the academies like LMS, all of the academics informations required, those qualifications, certification required. At the same time, look into the industry as well, where the industry is moving. So this collaborative information help you to move into the right path. That's what my opinion. Tanaga, you're on mute. Tanaga, you're still on mute.
Yes, thank you so much, Salim. That's very true. I think it's a matter of us being futuristic and also being adaptive to the changing times. It's up to the person to be ready for change and also be futuristic. So there's one person who just mentioned that, are there any specific courses in IT? I think that's Peter. He's saying that, could you specify about any project management courses for IT sector? Is there any specific or any specific course that one should take that specifically for the IT industry?
Than directly putting it that we need to understand more which sector he's coming in. For example, in the project management side, of course, the project management certifications is one of the important thing you need to consider it. Okay, that is the project management knowledge, or it shows your credibility, that certifications and the knowledge of it. Okay, that is one part of it. The second is which sector, the new technologies we mentioned it, or which other sector which he works on it. He need to look into that and improvise it. But it's not only the area which both Aida and myself explained it, it's developing in. These are some of them, but there are other many areas which he didn't talk about as well. It's getting emerged, that the low code, no code development. It's one of the area which is getting developed like anything. And similarly, the security, information security, it's one of the areas like emerging like anything. there is a real shortage of skill set in that areas. So similar, like there are many sectors. So the industry or the sector which he works, he can look into that, or maybe more information needed to more customize it. We can have one-to-one informations to be discussed it and to see that which sector he works, and accordingly we can give the guidance. Tanaka, you're again mute.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Salim. Are there any other further questions from our audience? Yes, I see there is Ashish was asking, will data scientists cross roles with project managers in the future?
Yes, of course. Of course, data science is one of the area, very key area need to look, because now the data is the new oil. We already listened this. Data is the new oil. Okay, as an individual information like your email address, your phone number itself is a valuable asset for somebody else. Okay, or he is using that information and analyzing and doing a lot of things up. So data science is one of the big and developing area. Need to look into that. I think Aida can more comment on it, because this data is very, very crucial, especially this pandemic situation in the healthcare sector.
That is very true. That is very true. There's a, just because we don't want the students to feel overwhelmed. It's not that complicated or challenging. Have a look at the World Economic Forum, just to give you an idea on what are the future skills that are required or what's going to happen. I think that's a very good starting point. To then you can, as an individual, you can sit down and think who you are, what skills have you got, and where you can go from there, because there's no point of you jumping into learning data, like Salim just said. Even there's a few of my readings that I have come across, the digital literacy is not one rigid thing, and it's not someone who has to learn about coding. There's many levels of that. So just find out what has happened. The report, that report is very easy. What are the future skills? Take it from there, and then you know who you are, and take it from that point, because you have to analyze yourself as an individual, because if you don't know yourself as an individual, you're going to struggle to keep adapting, because that's going to be the case from now on. In order to know what industry you're in, what are the changes, the rapid changes, the disruptive changes that are happening.
Thank you so much, Aida. Thank you so much, Salim. I think it has been a very insightful session for all of us, something that can give us a thought on how we want to project our careers and how we can remain relevant in the future. So here the last that's Peter was saying that I'll need a personal guide from my career future proof. Please do reach out to the Lincoln team. I think they will assign you somebody who can guide you in terms of that. Without further ado, I think it has been an amazing session, and I would like to thank our speakers for such a detailed and insightful session. We learned that hard skills are not going to help us in the future, and having a digital mindset is going to be very crucial, being futuristic, and also attaining those. I want to believe we're going to require more leaders than actual groundsmen, as most of the things are going to be done by robots as well as machines. So basically, to wrap it up, somebody might be wondering, who are the people behind this webinar session. So this was organized by Lincoln University of Business and Management. It is a university that was established in 2014 here in UAE, and also it has partnered with different universities internationally from UK as well as Switzerland. So if you can see, there are two brochures that are showing on your screen right now, whereby if you are looking forward to tap into that industry, into that space where you want to become a better project manager, you can either do a course for MBA in project and operations management that is offered by York St. John University from UK. And also you can do a Master of Science, which is in project management from University of the West of Scotland. Again, you can do it through Lincoln University of Business and Management. The one thing that I like about these courses, they give you both the soft and the hard skills that are required, so you can become relevant in terms of your leadership, in terms of the basis of what project management is. So I would like to thank Lincoln University of Business and Management for hosting us today, as well as our esteemed technocrats, Mr. Salim, as well as Miss Ida. Thank you again, and have a wonderful evening. If you have got any questions regarding the details about these courses, again, please feel free to reach out to the team. They'll be able to assign you a career counselor, and who will be able to take you through how you can take forward your career. Right. As for me, from my end, thank you so much. Salam alaikum. Bye-bye.
Very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you. Thanks a lot, the LMS and all the team.
Bye-bye.